Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 278 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on October 7th, 2025. How are all you wonderful folks doing? Hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful day today. A great day to talk about silencer physics, I say. We have a lot to cover. First up, we have the technical talk focusing on last week's white paper published on the Zastava ZVUK AK silencer. That was really neat. And then we have an intro talk for the CAT CACM 556 silencer. We are publishing that test report today with this episode. That silencer was tested on the standard untuned Mark 18. Very interesting silencer, very interesting results. You're definitely going to want to stick around for that. And just a note, we found out today, YouTube pulled episode 275 from our channel, apparently. We can't control what YouTube does, and they use AI instead of humans to enforce their own rules. So if you're looking for episode 275 on YouTube, you can no longer find it. So if you want to go listen to it, go to our website, and at pewscience.com/podcast, you can find links to real podcast providers like Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, TuneIn, all that stuff, and a direct link to our RSS feed. And there's even a website audio player. You can download an MP3 of every episode if you want to, directly from our website, okay? So sorry to folks who like YouTube. You're just going to have to take it up with them. Okay, this podcast is compliant with their rules, but their AI gets things wrong, and there's nothing we can do about that. All right, the reason we have chosen to let YouTube auto-ingest our RSS feed, because that's how it works. Remember, YouTube is not a podcast provider. They read your RSS feed, they upload the audio to their website so they can have the traffic, and they put the album art for the podcast episode as the video. It's all automated. The only reason we do that is because it helps more people learn about silencers. So YouTube is helping us spread the word about silencers, and their AI is, figuring things out. And I guess they weren't happy with us talking about physics. I guess they don't like science. Not our problem. Let's get on with the show. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new to the podcast, well, gosh, so glad to have you. And we're going to go through the topics today. We're going to put timestamps in the episode description, as always, so you can skip to wherever you would like. All right. I'm going to talk about some companies that make this podcast possible, and they're really important. So go check them out. For example, one of them is Legion Athletics. Nothing you do, exercise, sports, or anything is worth doing without consistency. You have to do things all the time if you want to excel at them. Legion Athletics can help you with that. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, creatine, which is one of my favorite supplements ever. So safe, so studied, so awesome, so valuable for cognitive function, strength, stamina, and everything, and you can give it to everyone from kids to senior people. Does Legion have everything you need? No, of course not. No one does, but they have a lot of it. Visit legionathletics.com. Code word PEW Science to get you buy one, get one 50% off of your entire shopping cart. And once you're done with that and you want to order again, that code word PEW Science is going to give you 20% cash back on everything you buy. So if you buy supplements all the time, you may as well get money back. And get supplements from Legion Athletics that are not going to make you piss hot on drug tests. Like if you're a competitive athlete that's tested by WADA or USADA, you can actually shop at Legion Athletics and know that you're not going to violate a drug test. That cannot be said for many other supplement companies, just so you know. Okay, Legion Athletics, get strong, get swole. This podcast is also brought to you by Silencer Shop. They've done a lot for the NFA industry nationwide. Use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, cut down on errors, simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee, which is rare. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly a silencer ownership, simplified. Also, Top Gun Range Houston, very important. Go to Houston on a business trip, right? You're having fun. You got a great important meeting. Then you need to decompress. You need to have a little fun. Go see Kyle and his crew at Top Gun Range, 15-lane indoor shooting range, largest firearm rental fleet in the entire state of Texas. You can rent all the pistols and rifles and shotguns and machine guns and silencers you want. Have fun. Experience the real weapon dynamics and physics in person. Have a blast. TopGunRange.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Capital Armory. Did you know they're in Texas? Did you know that Capital Armory started by a guy that was frustrated with how the process worked and just wanted to do cool NFA stuff and have his friends do it with him too, and was just like, you know what? This could be better and more awesome. So they started their business. They've been doing it a long time. And the difference between Capital Armory and a lot of other NFA places is that they actually live and breathe NFA to, like, they were born and bred in it. Like, they're actual silencer enthusiasts. They don't just sell them. And I know you think that all the people who sell silencers are like silencer experts or something. And that's not true. Unfortunately, if you live in one of the 42 states where silencers are legal, actually, Capital Armory can ship them directly to you, which is kind of wild, okay? Really is that easy. Capital Armory, silencers shipped directly to your door. Finally, this podcast is brought to you by the PEW Science Laboratory. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, we have chosen to continue to do this podcast. This is what is this? Episode 278 or whatever it is. That's crazy. In the interest of public education, we're doing this. We're going to keep doing it. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's part of our research effort. It's the simplest and most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot event from before the combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is blown down, all the mechanical operation of the weapon system has ceased. It's awesome. It tells you the real deal. Okay? PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. There are 7 sections. The most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the world, and it's all something you can use yourself as a real human being. It's not just numbers on a page. You can actually use the information, and you can't get that anywhere else. We're happy to provide it to you because it's awesome. 24/7, pewscience.com. Don't sleep. You can support this podcast. You can support PEW Science. You can support all the public testing we do by joining with a membership at pewscience.com, which, first of all the cool kids are doing it. Second of all, it's super cheap. It's like less than a cup of coffee. Thirdly, if you're not into, supporting the best silencer research on the planet, that's okay. I understand recurring bills are something a lot of people don't like. They don't want to have a subscription. That's cool. You can do a one-time donation on the review page of the podcast page. It's tax deductible, homie. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? If times are tight and you're eating ramen noodles just to like make it day to day, and you're just listening to this podcast because you want to live vicariously through all these silencer people, I understand. Something that's free and does not cost you anything ever, it's just spreading the word. Go to the public library, listen to the podcast on the computer, read the articles, tell the librarian, bro or broette, you should learn about compressible flow and blast physics from silencers, and they'll be like, oh, I should learn about that. And then next thing you know, every library has suppressed machine guns or something. Wouldn't that be cool? Right? Let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Normalize the use of suppressed small arms. We have 2 topics today. Topic 1, we're going to talk about report 6202 with the Zastava ZVUK on the Yugoslavian pattern Serbian rifle. And then in topic 2, we're going to talk about the CAT CACM. And boy, I have some more information about the CACM and a silencer that will also use CACM technology in that topic. So you're really going to want to stay tuned for that. Topic 1, ZVUK at a time of 9 minutes and 12 seconds. Okay, 1 second. Okay, sound signature review 6202, Zastava ZVUK on the 16.3-inch Yugoslavian AK-pattern system. This was another U.S. tribute to the venerable Soviet PBS silencer. And I say U.S. tribute because although Zastava is a Serbian company, this is clearly a U.S. tribute because it's sold in the United States and ITAR. And import restrictions. And this is a U.S. silencer, okay? Just so we're clear. This is U.S. technology. Okay? We're all on the same page. We're all friends here. That's the only way I can say that without saying more things that don't make a difference to you anyway. So the question is, does this particular implementation of a purposely induced porosity, or PIP, bring the performance? Does it bring the heat? No. We asked this question last time. I posed this to you last time, and last time was the intro talk when we published it. This is going to be the strictly technical talk. Because last week I did break down the intro talk into pretty good sections, I thought. So if you want that broad general overview of the ZVUK, along with some big picture opinions about the market and things like that, and maybe you want to learn a little more about how the silencer looks and all that nitty gritty, hit last week's episode. That would be, oh man, I'm not good at counting. 277. That would be episode 277. Okay. Today, what we're going to do, I think we're just going to go straight technical, straight nerd stuff, like in one shot. Old school. I'm not breaking this into subtopics. This is old school PEW Science. This is a 3D printed titanium AK silencer. Hub capable. It's gray, not white, not silver, not black. It is gray. Looks like an old school PBS, but it's not. It uses purposely induced porosity, that PIP tech, under license. It uses it under license just like some other companies do that you've seen from us. Who else uses PIP under license? That would be PTR. That would be Dylan. That would be other companies that you haven't seen yet. Okay? Real quick. So you understand what PIP is and what PIP is not? It is a 3D printed metal lattice structure similar to a dense foam in its pore geometry. Okay? It's an engineering solution to very high pressure flow and heat transfer. Okay? It lets you vary high pressure flow and it lets you vary heat transfer. Because it's printable as part of an entire material matrix, you can incorporate as much of it or as little of it or as open or dense sections of it as you would like, and you can put it wherever you would like or wherever you deem reasonable or useful, anywhere in a silencer geometry. It is the designer's choice, it is dealer's choice, essentially. Okay, you can make an entire silencer out of it if you wanted, or you could only put it in one spot. You could put it in 16 spots or 17 and a half spots, or you get the point. Okay, it's up to the designer. Engineer discretion is a tool. Okay. In the many technical discussions we have had on this podcast about that technology and the several technical reports you have access to on our website showcasing the performance of the technology, you have learned that efficient heat transfer is very important as a benefit. Now remember, at a basic level, silencers work by managing energy. Yes, you have high pressure, high temperature gases injected into a dynamic pressure vessel that has, by its nature, a primary vent orifice. Okay, the primary bore, the bullet has to come out, so you have that design limitation. The injected flow is compressible. It's not like you're putting water inside and letting water run out. That's not how this works. Okay, it's not only is it compressible flow, unlike water, it's also very fast. The flow occurs at multiple Mach numbers in air. Okay, it's supersonic flow. It's super duper supersonic flow. Therefore, it is also not like hooking an air compressor up to the silencer and letting air blow through it. Don't do that. That's not the same. Don't do that. That is actually hooking up an air compressor to a silencer and letting air blow through it to understand performance is nonsensical. Like if you want to understand blast propagation to the core, it's nonsensical. It doesn't have any physical basis. Okay, so I want to make sure, like, because a lot of people are new to silencers and they don't know that. So like, don't think of water and don't think of compressed air because it's not like that. Because you have the wrong media and you got the wrong velocities. And you change that, you change those two things, and the physics changes. Okay? So now that you understand that, or at least you're aware of it, given these design inputs of compressible supersonic flow and the fact that you have a bore that has to vent by design, what would be your design output? Like, what's the whole point of the game? How do you play the game? Well, you want to take input high pressure, high temperature gases of a finite duration. You want to contain them. You want to manage the blowdown out of your primary orifice. And in that defined time regime, you would also want to induce the maximum amount of heat transfer possible by taking advantage of engineering metrics like what? Like surface area, like turbulence, which are both knobs you can turn to increase the efficiency of heat transfer. Silencers, which do that, do it through the use of baffles. That's one method. It's another method. Well, PIP is a technology you can use as a power-up to the baffles if you're so inclined. Frankly, it's actually, you know what? That is one of the simplest ways I can describe the big picture to you. PIP is like a magic mushroom for your baffle geometry, if you choose to use it like that. That's like a Super Mario reference. It's not a drug reference, okay? Just this is a family show. It's like, Super Mario, Mario, he's like, I'm Mario, and I'm doing Mario stuff. And he takes the mushroom in the video game there for Nintendo, and then he becomes Super Mario, larger, more powerful. It's like a power-up. It's a simple analogy. So if I glossed over something regarding the PIP physics, it's okay. I know that was really short. What you can do is you can find other PIP discussions we have had on this podcast. And I had realized when I was prepping for this episode, I hadn't included the PIP and purposely induced porosity metadata tags on last week's episode on the episode post at pewscience.com/podcast. So those are added now. So for those of you listening on podcast providers through the RSS feed, including YouTube, that auto ingests the RSS feed and then deletes our episodes because YouTube has stupid rules, you may not realize that at pewscience.com/podcast, there are posts for every episode, and you can also download MP3s of the episode. And every post not only has the topics and the timestamps, but there are metadata tags you can click, and the site will then give you the group of episodes pertinent to the tag topic. If I was careful enough to tag the episode right. So, and there's also a search function on the website powered by Google, which is, crazy because they let us do that, but YouTube doesn't like. And that allows you to find podcast topics that you're choosing. So you can find, like, if you want to learn the PIP, you go to this episode on there, pewscience.com/podcast, and you can listen to all the PIP talks. And we've talked about the physics so much that you've got to understand it by now. So bottom line, PIP can help. And it can help so much, in fact, that it can make a silencer do things that other silencers simply can't do with regard to suppression. It's talking about something specific. And it's not because of magic, but it's because of physics. And for a given type of silencer, there are diminishing returns. Okay? For example, the 30 caliber Vent 1 silencer from PTR might be the quietest 30 caliber rifle silencer on the planet. It might be. And I say it might be because we haven't tested everything, so we don't know. But it's so far ahead in our testing that we really struggle to think of something that can beat it with actual data and analysis. I'm not talking about like make-believe, super happy fun time testing. I'm talking about like real like testing and engineering analysis, like when you really consider like the actual physics of what's happening. I'm sure something can beat it. We haven't tested it. Now, if you go like way bigger than the Vent 1 or whatever it's called, then yeah, you can probably beat it. That makes sense. But like size for size, I'd really love to see something quieter. I don't know that I have. I don't know that I've seen something the same size as the Vent 1 that's quieter on 30 caliber. I don't know that I've seen it. I don't know that anyone has. Let me know. I'd be interested. Now, does that mean that PIP is the best silencer tech ever? Well, no. Of course it doesn't mean that. Does PIP tech mean that everything's going to be super low back pressure and quiet and super awesome? No, it does not mean that either. It certainly doesn't mean that either. PIP is a tool, just like baffles are tools, just like bore size is a tool. Used in the right combination, great things are possible. That's true. And remember, and a consumer brought this up the other day on social media because they actually remembered me telling you guys about this a while back. Remember how PTR sent us multiple silencer variants and you got the Vent 1? That thing didn't need to do what you saw it do. It could do other things too. It just depends on the design. You don't... If it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, it's because they're like about approximately like 10 to 100,000 new silencer consumers out there right now looking for the quote-unquote best silencer and best silencer tech there is. And they think if they see one tech, it's going to be the best. And I have news for you. That's not how it works. It could be good, could be bad, could be good and bad. So all that being said, now let's talk about the ZVUK, because you need that context. And that's why, and for those of you new to the podcast, get used to this, because this is how I'm going to run it. ZVUK, cool name, Serbian, strong culture, cool part of the world, nice AKs. Hub compatible, direct thread mounts, 13.3 ounces total with the silencer, very light. Can you use it on a full auto AK? You can. Should you ask them about firing schedule? You should. Will you be able to do the same burn downs you did with the Wolverine? I would guess not, but can you afford the ammo anyway? I don't know. Everyone has these these newfangled, they're not machine guns, they're called super safeties or FRTs, which whole other can of worms. I don't know what you can afford or do or not do. Talk to the manufacturer. It's titanium, but it's not made of cheese. So just because, a lot of people, because of various industry tomfoolery, a lot of people are shy away from titanium for certain reasons. But I always think it's a case by case basis. We think that you should talk to the manufacturer, and you might get an answer that's okay. You might get an answer that points you to something else, but you won't know until you actually talk to the people making it. It's 7.94 inches long with the direct thread mount. Not super long, but definitely not short. It's similar in size to the Wolverine. It's a touch longer, I think. It's way longer than a typical 5.56 silencer if you're keeping score, just for the record. Just to give you a feel for this. This is a 7.62x39 AK silencer. This is not a 5.56 silencer. This ZVUK is not a 5.56. Can you shoot 5.56 through it? You could. Should you? I don't know. I don't know if you should do that or not. We tested the silencer on the Zastava M70. So this is a Yugoslavian pattern rifle, and I don't mean that as a disrespect to Serbia, but in common AK vernacular, the pattern is referred to Yugo, right? To differentiate it from other patterns, like the Bulgarian ones. And it just so happens that the other test outs that you saw in the previous Dead Air Wolverine report were Bulgarian rifles from Arsenal. So I'm just saying this one was tested on the Yugo pattern. Inside the ZVUK, you have a first expansion chamber or blast chamber that frankly will remind you a lot of some of the previous 3D printed PIP designs you've seen from other brands. It's not exactly the same, but there's features that induce similar physics. One thing I want to bring your attention to is the way the vent arrays are structured, how big they are, where they are, and how numerous or not numerous the numbers of vents is. Those factors, along with what happens to the gas once it does vent early, along with some of the distances and the muzzle device types and all these things, all of that controls what we call the early time flow rate of the silencer system. In PEW Science research, we refer to this as the alpha parameter. Low alphas have extremely low restriction and internal impulse accumulation in early time. High alphas have lower early time flow rate, higher early time back pressure. The ZVUK has a moderate alpha since it is a 762 silencer. Comparing it to things you've seen so far is a little hard, a little difficult in this way. So I'm going to use an example of the PTR Vent Spiritus versus the Dylan DRC556. The ZVUK is closer to the Dylan than it is to the PTR. Is that bad? Well, not necessarily, but it is different and real, and you need to understand that these factors influence system performance and human risk. And so we're going to get into the report now and speak about that, but I'm trying to give you like enough background to understand what we're going to talk about. Pull up 6202 members, of course, pull up the full report. You'll get the most value. Bang for your buck, and not a lot of buck, a lot of value. Free version for everyone else, you have infinite value because you have no cost. Isn't that cool? Bottom line up front, 33.5. Suppression rating 1 meter left of the end cap of the silencer, 1.6 meters above the ground in the true free field. 16.5, 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear. That brings us to a composite suppression rating of 33.7 on the standard untuned 16.3-inch barrel Zastava ZVUK M70 Serbian AK-pattern rifle with Hornady 123 grain 7.62 by 39 ammunition. That's that Hornady 123 grain American gunner 7.62 by 39 ammunition. It's the American brass-cased Hornady AK gun ammo. I know. I was surprised it existed too. Okay, so hold that thought. Go ahead, and I know I said a lot of words, but we're going to help you. Scroll down really quick to figure 1, and it's a little different this time. I gave you an upfront bar chart to sum this up, big picture, really quickly. Okay? You see the unsuppressed risk metrics, the ZVUK risk metrics, and the venerable Wolverine risk metrics. Okay? On the M70. Now, right away, you see the suppression performance from the ZVUK is over 10 points higher at the muzzle than the Wolverine. Okay. When you see that type of differential, that's a category jump, and it's non-trivial. That difference is not only large, very large difference, but it should be immediately noticeable, apparent, and actionable in any and all environments. I don't care where you're shooting these things. There's no way you couldn't notice the difference. There's no way. Impossible. The risk to bystanders with the ZVUK is reduced over that of the Wolverine, and that is objective fact. Now then, the shooter's ear suppression rating also increased with the ZVUK, and again, it's non-trivial. But the increase isn't as large. It went from 10.7 with the Wolverine, which is very hazardous, to 16.5 with the ZVUK, which is honestly still pretty hazardous. Okay, but it's progress. And there is progress being made, and that is good. That is good. I don't care if you're not an AK person. This is good. Now, this is the point where I got to tell you. I want to tell you to be patient. All right. There is no way to say that other than be patient. We know more than you. It's like that. What is that thing with the Parks and Rec? What's that guy's name in the show? Ron? I always get that confused with another thing. Anyway, Ron Swanson. That's what it is. Parks and Rec. Yeah, it's like, I know more than you. It's like, sorry. We have to present more things to you, and you just kind of be patient. And it's the only way. You just gotta let us do it. I can tell you that you can get those blue bars higher, but you're gonna have to do some different things to make it happen. And 16 is not a hard limit. Don't be scared. I don't want you to think that. In other words, like 16 is not like the 30 on the Mark 18 at the ear. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense. You feel me? I'm not saying 30 is a hard limit of an untuned Mark 18. Really don't think that too, but you get my point. Okay, if that's not where we're sitting with this, I just want to draw some parallels to people who have been following the research for a long time. I want you to understand. big picture, and before we go on and get deeper in the physics, which we're going to, I'm going to recap what we know about the ZVUK. It's very advanced. It suppresses very well. It's about a light year ahead of the old Wolverine in suppression. Very good things, all good things. We also know that the AK is a difficult host to tame. And based on what we see in the blast chamber of the silencer, we have a feeling there would be ways to induce less early time back pressure, sort of like we saw with the Dylan silencer. And maybe there's a way to increase that shooter's ear rating a little bit without having to tune the gun if you change the design a little bit. So that's what we know so far. I just want to say that. And so to prepare you for all of this, and now we can go deeper. Okay, 1 second. Let me get a drink of water. Okay, now you can scroll down to figure 2. Figure numero dos here. Figure 2. Figure 2, very good. This is the squiggly lines. Blast overpressure in the free field. Figure 2A has a full time regime, and it's a long time, actually. Look how long the AK takes to cycle. Boy, oh boy, it takes such a long time. Yeah, you're going to need a really big building if you want to do that one indoors, homie. You couldn't do the other ones, and you think you can do this too? Let's keep doing wrong things. No, don't do that. You waste your time and everyone's time. Good luck. Figure 2B has early time, classic PIP here. In my opinion, really interesting thing about the ZVUK. The distal end is all shrouded in PIP, but not radially, which is interesting. It's not on the OD of the silencer. The precursor that you see in early time in figure 2B is bore flow plus PIP flow, and we think. And really, it behaves a lot like the other PIP tech silencers in that you get such consistent performance. And this one is not high back pressure. It flows really well through the time regime, very consistent. But it does have FRP that I think could be improved. Now, do you care about that with an AK? What a weird thing to say, right? Well, I mean, you might. And this might be my personal bias showing through a little bit, but I'm not an AK guy, and I find the mechanics of the platform to be unrefined in general. I think I find it to be crude, a little bit. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I find it to be a little unrefined. So would I personally be less concerned with FRP here? I mean, maybe me personally, I don't know. But the silencer nerd in me would love to see the FRP reduced, simply because it's one of those attributes that I think defines ridiculous performance for me. Like, we're at the point in PEW Science research where this is truly Formula One car racing. I think I used this analogy on social media the other day. I like to post stream of consciousness things to Instagram stories. So if it seems a little random, it's because it's directly from my brain. I know this is only the second AK report, but we're spoiled for more mature suppression platforms like the MP5 and the Mark 18 and stuff. And so I have this weird desire for everything to be perfect. I'm very difficult, and I am a very harsh critic, like, overall, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I am sure it bothers a lot of people. It's funny. In my engineering career, my colleagues and I have realized and become self-aware enough to realize together that we are very hypercritical a lot of everything. It's a trait that I am aware of. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I have been told that, and I am aware of it, and I have been aware of it for a very long time, and I'm not sorry, but I know it can be frustrating. Okay? I own it. I own that trait, so don't think that, like, I'm not apologizing to you, but I want you to know that if you're frustrated by it, I understand. Okay? Now, that being said, the FRP is about 40% more severe on average than the rest of the shots. And for full context, if you have shot a Wolverine, next to this or separately from this, or if you haven't shot a ZVUK and not going to, but you've shot a Wolverine, I want to let you know that this FRP with the ZVUK might not matter to you at all, in the least at all ever, because the FRP from the ZVUK is way quieter than any shot from the Wolverine will be ever, no matter what. Let me say that in a different way that might be more actionable for you. The danger from shooting a Wolverine on an AK will be higher than the danger from shooting a ZVUK, no matter what. Okay, so forget it. Like, I don't want, because and here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is objective fact. And let me give you an example of something a gun writer would say about the Wolverine and lie to you without maybe knowing they're lying. They might say to you, they might shoot the ZVUK and the Wolverine on the same day on the same gun and write an article for their magazine. And they might say something like, AKs are supersonic, and we always recommend wearing hearing protection, and we found both silencers to really reduce the report of the gunshot, with the Wolverine have a great tone, and the ZVUK really suppressing the sound field to a degree that we all thought it was pleasing. So they're saying something to you to try to help you, and you might read that coming away and think, oh, they probably both sound pretty good. But what I'm telling you from our laboratory testing and our engineering analysis is if you shoot a Wolverine and a ZVUK together, the Wolverine's going to be so freaking loud and it's going to be dangerous to you, and the ZVUK's going to protect you more objectively. You see the difference? One is fun to read, which is fine. Having fun is cool. Go have fun. The other is going to give you information you can use to make decisions. That's the difference between what we do and that other stuff. Just so to be very upfront with you. Okay, cool. 1 second. Useful. Because what we're going to do 278 episodes of this podcast talking about stuff that's subjective and fun? No, we're going to talk about fun stuff that's real that you can use. What, I'm going to waste my time for 6 years? Or am I going to tell you real information you can use? What would you do if you were a reasonable human? All right, so we tested the ZVUK on the Zastava rifle because Zastava requested that we do that. Now, here, let's talk about that. As you saw in the previous Wolverine report, which was 3 tests, we evaluated that on 3 different AKs. Okay. Big picture, the 2 full-size rifles, the Bulgarian Arsenal and the Serbian Zastava, behave pretty similarly. However, there is something that the Zastava rifle is doing that bears further investigation, and we feel it could actually be hurting the shooter's ear a little bit. The shooter's ear suppression rating, rather. It could be increasing risk a little bit. PEW Science members see discussion about that in the full report. We don't know everything about what's happening there. We just honestly don't. We're going to figure it out eventually. But honestly, we're not 100% sure about everything. It's complicated. We're studying it. It's new research. I would say for now, assume that the Yugo pattern might be a little bit worse at the ear than the Bulgarian with some silencers. But a caveat here is that with the Wolverine, it was like a 10th higher on theirs. So it was really close. It's just the AK platform, despite all its idiosyncrasies and unrefined nature, it's really interesting to us. It's very interesting to me personally. I'm very interested in the AK. I don't like it that much, but I'm very interested in it. As a similar aside, and there's going to be plenty of those today, there was a guy or girl the other day on social media, I was trying to help somebody out. I was answering, that's what I was doing. I was answering questions about one of the reports. And the guy said, given your proclivity or, not proclivity, what word did he use? Something, affinity. Given your affinity for the Mark 18, I'm surprised that yada, yada, yada. I don't remember exactly what he said. And I was like, affinity? You think because there's a ton of Mark 18 data points on the website, I have an affinity for the Mark 18? No, dude. It's just a test apparatus, is what I told him. You think I like the Mark 18 because we test on it? No, it's a commonly fielded platform that's a standard that works for the physics, that gives us a huge degree of data utility for the state of practice and for the whole world. That does not having an affinity for the rifle. It's just a tool. It's literally a lab apparatus. So when I talk about I think the AK is interesting. I'm not like super into AKs. I'm just saying it's pretty freaking cool to like understand how they work. And once I figure out how it works, I'll throw it aside and start on something else. Okay? This is like what I do. So in general, as we discussed with the Wolverine, the AK platform, it does things that are a little different from the AR platform, and the shooter's ear data, it really shows you that. And you know, if the members, you can look that in the full version of the report in 6.202.2.2. There are mechanical impact events measured at the shooter's ear. And guys, when I say measured, just for you, if you're new to this, when I say measured at the shooter's ear, I mean physically measured with a pressure sensor 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear, which is a mil standard measurement location for decades. And that's why the Science or Sound Standard uses it. The Science or Sound Standard is a strict interpretation of mil standard 1474 echo. Okay? That's why we use that sensor location. We've always used that sensor location. And so when I'm talking about the AK and the mechanical impact events that are apparent in the measurements, they're happening. The measurements we're taking are 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear. So so the severity is near your face. It's near face. And the data plots that the members see in this report, it would be in figure 4A, 4B, and figure 5A and 5B in pressure and impulse space respectively. You can see how severe the events are. This is that's raw blast data. That's raw measured high fidelity blast data. Blast overpressure data. Okay, so I want you to think about hearing damage risk in this context as multiple strike risk. The risk induced by multiple strikes. Okay, if I punch you in the face, it might hurt. If I keep punching you, you could get some additive damage, yes? Okay, we don't test in a vacuum. So if we go to the trouble to record the whole event, the whole hit, you keep getting hit. Let's say you get hit 6 times, but you're really getting hit a bunch of times. But let's say you get hit 6 major times with 6 major pulses from a gunshot in your face. Just pretend. Everything from the blast overpressure to the breech blast, from the muzzle to the breech blast, from the breech to the clack clack, to the clunk clunk, to the ka-chunk of the AK, to the brass hitting, everything, all this bam, bam, bam. Let's say there's 6 major hits. We're going to the trouble of recording all of it. You can bet we're analyzing all of it for you. You feel, is that a good way to understand? And it's not just like you took the AK and you closed the bolt of the AK or the carrier of the AK and then you put it down on the table and you wrote it down. And then you came back and you took the piece of brass and you hit it off of the AK and then you wrote it down. And then you shot something like an AK, you measured the muzzle blast out of the silencer and then you wrote it down. And then you somehow isolated everything into a gigantic swimming pool on the end of the gun and then shot it and only got the ejection port blast on the other side of the wall and then you wrote it down and you added them all together. No, that's not what we're doing. We're not using superposition to add, like in an additive fashion, to add the risk. We're performing dynamic analysis in a continuum. And for those non-physicists and non-engineers out there, in plain English, what that means is that we're bouncing on the trampoline with our buddies, double bouncing people, and we're getting tired without taking a break. Okay? And you see how that would be different than like casually practicing. You're in a whole fight. You're fighting the guy for 5 rounds. You're not fighting 1 round and then coming back 2 weeks later and fighting the second round and then coming back 3 weeks later and fighting the third round. Okay? We're doing the whole thing. I'm using these analogies because I think it'll help a lot of you understand how the suppression rating works, why it works and other things don't work, and why you can use the numbers and you can't use the other ones. Okay, cool, awesome. I think if we were running an AK, if I was an AK man, me personally, I would be looking strongly at the ZVUK and I would be looking strongly at other purpose-built AK silencers. And the reason for that opinion is simply because there are things you really need to manage on the AK. I mean, we are learning that the AK is unique. It is unique. It's important to understand that the unique nature of the platform, and it's not an AR-15. I think there's things you need to manage. I think that high flow rate is a really good idea, and you gotta wonder. I mean, something we wonder: how does something like the Flow 7.62 stack up on an AK? Like, I want to know. Like, you know, I don't know if Huxworks wants to know at all. I don't know if they know. They probably know. I know they know how the AK works because I've seen them test it in their lab. I've been to Huxworks lab. We exchanged lab data. I don't know if that's like a story I told a long time ago in the podcast, but a lot of you people are new. Huxworks peer reviewed our lab data. Did you know that? They did. We peer reviewed theirs too. Did you know that? We did. You would think that a Flow Huxworks silencer would do pretty good in the ways it can, right? In the ways it can. We aren't sure because I haven't done this type of testing on that, but we're going to probably. I would think we need to. And there's other models, not just Huxworks, right? There's all kinds of stuff that folks have asked actually publicly. They've asked us, "Hey, can you test this?" Hey, and we're like, we love that. We love when people suggest things to test. It's fun. I'd say right now the ZVUK is a heavy hitter. It is. I think if you're into the PBS look, that classic Soviet look, and you want a really big performance upgrade from the Wolverine, I think the ZVUK's a strong option. The performance is very strong. I think if you're doing tuning with a KNS piston, which I know a lot of AK people do, this might be your ticket to the show, dude. Yeah, it's kind of like when people use the Dylan silencer on a tuned AR and they love it. I think this might be one of those situations. That's my guess. I don't know for sure, but I feel like that's going to happen. Yeah. Again, if I was an AK guy, sorry, Brandon, he's a good guy. If I was an AK guy, I would try to squeeze the most performance out of the system possible. So that would mean tuned piston, advanced silencer, like full stop. That's how I roll, and I know that's how a lot of you roll too, because you wouldn't be listening to the podcast if you don't roll like that. With regard to performance comparisons, I know we cover the ZVUK compared to the Wolverine, but what other peg points do you have? You actually have more than you think, and this might be something cool that you might need to know or might need to look at. Check out section 3 of the report. Is it section 3 of the report? Did I misnumber this? I definitely misnumbered it. The last section of the report, not the conclusion, but the second last. You if you scroll down past figure 6, the main bar chart that was also in the intro, there's bullet points. We did muzzle and ear comparisons across weapon systems. So keep in mind that this is possible with the suppression rating, right? Remember, the rating is all on the same scale. It is the most powerful rating you have. I keep saying it because I want you to understand how powerful it is. Oh my God, and it's free. It's totally free to everyone, and they can all use it. It's crazy. So 1 meter left of the end cap, this ZVUK on the 16-inch Yugo gun is kind of like a Flow 7.62 on a Mark 18. It's also kind of like a YHM Resonator K on Subsonic 300 Blackout from a Minifix. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how like really short 30 caliber silencers on Subsonic 300 Blackout out of a relatively short 300 Blackout barrel are kind of loud, and that's why the Resonator K on an 8-inch 300 Blackout with subsonic ammo, 1 meter left of the end cap is kind of the same risk as a Flow 7.62, 1 meter left of a Mark 18. I know that sounds crazy, but what else? Aero Precision Lahar 30L on a 20-inch 308 bolt gun, same risk. It was a very close risk on 1 meter left of that end cap. What else? Liberty Precision Machine Anthem S on the same 20-inch 308 bolt gun. Oh my gosh, Lahar 30L and Anthem S, different lengths. Liberty Precision Machine has the similar bystander risk. Oh, why? Well, way more advanced than the Lahar 30. Wild. What else is similar in risk? Go back to the subsonic 300 blackout bolt gun, put a Razor 762 from Rugged on there, basically the same risk as a Resonator K. Are the Resonator K and the Razor 762 considered loud silencers? They are by every practical person. And do they result in similar risk as with using subsonic ammo as quieter silencers do with supersonic ammo? Yes. And by subsonic and supersonic, what's another way to say that? Low pressure and high pressure ammunition. Forget about the speed of projectile. Think of the combustion. So look, so you have the suppression rating, and you can do all these comparisons. Just because you don't have more AK data doesn't mean you can't learn something and understand the risk. Yeah? Okay, 1 second. And if you don't like the word risk, use the word severity. Because if we keep the frequency constant and you're going to shoot them the same amount of times as someone else, then severity will translate directly to risk. Because what's risk? Probability times consequence. Okay, cool. Speaking about that, on the operator side, we're just talking about bystander. On the operator side, 6 inches right of your ear as you're shooting, this is pretty dangerous still. It's untuned. What's comparable? That's not an AK. What's comparable to the ZVUK on the AK, on the untuned AK? Well, Surefire Mini 2 with a war comp on an M4, Knights Armament MCQ on an SR15 Mod 2, and you got the Sancerco Sacre on a Mark 18. All these silencers are either really loud, or they have a terrible blast overpressure risk from a war comp, or they're super high back pressure like a Sacre. All of those things are super high risk. What else is high risk? The AK untuned with the ZVUK. You see what I mean? You see the parallels you can draw that are immediately useful to you? Cool, right? So big picture with all this, like I was saying, if you tune your AK for this thing, you're going to have an absolutely great time relatively to what I just talked about, probably. We just haven't tuned an AK here at the lab, so we don't know the exact threshold yet, but we will. We will. Okay? Yeah, like I said, all in all, if you're a PBS fan, rejoice, dude. Like, your favorite silencer legacy just got more advanced. That's gotta feel good if you're an AK guy, I would think. Wolverine fans, you still have vibes. Don't cry. But just know there are advancements that are real. Don't discount them. Take this seriously, please. Okay, and now for something literally completely different. Back to America, we're going to talk about the stoner system in topic 2 at a time of 52 minutes and 36 seconds. Okay, 1 second, dude. Oh my God. It's like only Tuesday, but it feels like a really long week already. It's okay. Oh, I think I just got an explosive shipment in. It's always good. Just thinking all the stuff I have to do. Okay, topic 2, Sound Signature Review 6203, Combat Application Technologies CAT CACM 556 on the standard 10.3-inch untuned Mark 18. This is a system-optimized silencer, but PEW Science recommended a standard host platform to be used for public evaluation. So how does this latest surge bypass model perform in a 6-inch envelope? Yeah. I think the total performance of this may or may not surprise you. You may be surprised. You may not be surprised. Big picture, I think the 5.56 wars are continuing. And this talk is just going to be an intro. We're not going to go super technical. Okay. And I think I've told you this before, but if you had asked me 6 years ago what the most controversial research subject with PEW Science would be, never in 1 million years would I have said 5.56 suppression. I didn't think that would be the controversy. I thought I foresaw much different controversy from a technical standpoint, actually. Like just from a basic blast physics standpoint, my assumption was that tremendously hazardous short barrel 5.56 weapons present a really difficult suppression case, and the general public was going to be super thrilled to know how much hazard reduction we could get. They were going to be cheering all this on. They were like, "Oh my God, We want to be safer. We want to be safer. That's what I thought was going to happen. And so I thought excitement was the emotion that was going to be the number one thing. And maybe it's just like what I'm seeing. I don't know. I hope it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe excitement is the number one thing. But boy, howdy, what I didn't count on, and this is one of my blind spots, I think. One of my blind spots was I didn't count on the fact that the AR system's so popular and rifle silencer manufacturing is so easy because there's no moving parts. And so there was going to be an absolute explosion of 5.56 silencers on the market. And with that flood was going to come insane turf wars. And frankly, I'm just going to say it, incomprehensible, non-technical, fake performance marketing. And that I was like, I didn't think that part was going to get worse. But then maybe in hindsight I did with the whole tax stamp thing. So I was like, because for a while we had curbed it. We had, it was kind of going away. And now it's coming back. And you're like, oh my God, really? Again? No way. Again? Really? Is this a 5-year cycle? Now, the good thing for you and for me, I think for everyone, is that despite the ridiculousness that started to happen out there again, this should really give you comfort. This should actually make you really feel good. There are extremely advanced engineering and development groups doing awesome new things. Okay, go look at the top of the Mark 18 rankings right now on the website. Okay, pewscience.com/rankings. I'm not going to spoil the surprise for today's report, but look at the companies in the top 10. Like, this isn't by accident or luck, dude. Like, the top 10 silencers on the Mark 18, sorted by muzzle or ear or composite, save maybe one or two brute force baffle designs. Like, except for those, are pretty extremely complex and engineered. Yes, there's things like, the polonium, the Lahar stuff, the DSX stuff. Yes, and like I said, if it's big or super high back pressure and brute force, okay, yes. Those are exceptions. But other than that, like extreme flow through or hybrid tech that doesn't take like 6 months to develop or something is kicking butt. For these advanced designs, people don't just wake up one day, decide to start a silencer company having never designed silencers, and hit it out of the park. That doesn't happen. Okay? And I can tell you that doesn't happen because we have literally never seen it happen ever. Ever. It simply has not happened. This isn't like an opinion. This isn't like some kind of opinion piece for you. Okay? This is objective, real fact from real life on Earth. There are no examples of it happening that exist. It simply takes a while for folks to figure things out. It does. It takes a minute, which they can totally do. I am not saying people can't do it. I'm saying it takes a while. Okay. More often than not, if it doesn't take a while, it's one of two things that happened. Either they licensed IP or they stole IP. There's no other shortcut. Okay. The science is too complex. Anyone who says it is not complex is lying to you, or they don't understand it, or they're trying to sell you something, or all three. Okay. So and I bet I wasn't going to give you that as an introduction, but with that introduction to all of this, which I'm sure is hard for people to hear, I wanted you to check this out, dude. Check out this freaking silencer. CACM 5.56. There are 250 CACM rifles with the CACM 5.56 that are available. I don't know if people have bought them all. I don't know, dude. I don't even know if they're still even. I don't even know you can buy it still. You might not. Maybe you can. But I know there's 250 of them. That's what CAT told us when we set up to do the test program. Now, a couple things right up front. PEW Science made a command decision, and we dictated what we were going to do for the lab client publicly. Okay? CAT R&D asked us to test CACM. We learned it was going to be proprietary to their rifle. We said, sure, we are happy to do that project for you. Of course, we are a lab. We're going to say, yes, we will do this work. But what we think would be the greatest benefit for the research and the public is we also have to test on the Mark 18. And we think that would be fair. And we think users are going to want to see that data. And frankly, we would like you to understand what it does on that host. And because we see that as a very high value test for you and for us, for our understanding, and they agreed with us. And so you, the public, are getting a Mark 18 CACM silencer test. That is the CACM stuff you are getting from PEW Science. Okay? That is what we decided. Okay? Now, the second thing you need to know, one second. Second thing you need to know, and I did make double, triple sure of this before we published this report, because I think it's important for silencer people. And if I was still a plain Jane silencer consumer not running PEW Science, I would want to know this too. And that's why I pushed to get the info. We have been told that this silencer is, in fact, limited to the CACM rifle for the people who bought that rifle, but the tech it has is going to be distributed in another silencer that you will be able to get separately. We put a link in the report. The quote unquote sister silencer. Well, it's not really sister silencer because I really see the KK as the sister silencer to the CACM. But what I mean, like the brother to this silencer, whatever you want to call it, it is a silencer that is somewhat different but has the same technology. It is called the 5CM. And that is coming from a different company called Apparition Instruments. They are the company who assisted with the development of the Nano line of mounts for some of the CAT silencers, like the RAT and the KK and this CACM. And that is the only information I have about the 5CM right now. So that's literally all I can tell you about that. You can ask us more about it, but I literally have nothing else to tell you. The performance should be similar to the CACM. That I know. And so that's all I know about that. So the reason I'm saying this is because like some people might be like, oh, cool, this is published, but we can't even get the silencer. It's like, well, what I'm telling you is that you will be able to get it. Even if you don't have the CACM rifle, you'll be able to get something like it. And so that's why it's worth publishing. Because if you couldn't get it, and there's only it's almost not even worth publishing, right? But you can get it, is what I'm telling you, which makes it normal. And it's on the Mark 18, so no one gets mad. Third thing to tell you, we tested a titanium CACM silencer. Those don't exist in the wild. So if you are getting a CACM with a rifle, you have an Inconel model. Sorry. The CACM titanium is, of course, lighter, and that's what we got to test, and that's all I know about that. Just so the 5CM is going to have Inconel and titanium. So if you're into that. If you do want a titanium CACM, you'll be able to get a 5CM from AI, Apparition Instruments, okay? Regarding the performance between the Inconel and the titanium, suppression-wise, should be almost identical. I wouldn't sweat that, not with this tech. Okay, 1 second. Okay, now what else? I was going to give you a brief overview of the tech. So, okay, keep in mind, this is not a technical discussion, a full technical discussion. Those happen on the episodes following the publication, so we can do that next time. For now, here's what you need to know about the CACM 556 silencer as you review the report. It's 6.1 inches long with the mount. Okay. Meaning that, yes, with no mount inside, it is less than 6 inches long, which is pretty wild when you consider what it does, which you're going to see. It is not a hub silencer. You know what? Okay, so CACM isn't hub. I wonder if 5CM is. No, I bet you 5CM isn't going to be hub either, because they wouldn't want to do that. They'd want to use nano. Because, yeah, and that's the reason, right? Like why is CACM not a hub silencer? Well, because you actually need to use the nano with it. Why? Well, because it makes it work right. Now, can you use a different 1x16 mount with this silencer? Actually, you can. It has a deeper blast chamber than KK and RAT, so you can put like a RF1 or a Spooky in it, but I wouldn't do it if I were you. Because are you going to get the intended performance? No, you won't. And how does PEW Science know that so confidently? Well, our lab did a bunch of CACM testing, so we know, dude. I'm telling you, we know. Again, it is not like the RAT or the KK where you have to use a nano because nothing else is going to fit. What I'm trying to tell you is, like, you need that for the performance. Again, you can put a spooky and RF1 in the silencer. It's not going to do what you want it to do. Do it if you want, but don't be upset when the suppression rating you see isn't valid. Okay? Oh, and just FYI, and this is something that's like super important, and I don't know if anyone's told you this, but I'm going to tell you. If you think you can just copy a nano muzzle device and make it look like a nano and make it sort of similar and have it perform the same in these silencers, you may be surprised. Be careful. Don't think, oh yeah, it kind of looks like a nano. It has some ports on the side. It'll work. And don't think that. I saw someone was like, oh, that looks just like a XYZ thing. I'm like, it might look like it until you measure little things and realize it's not the same. And then when you consider, and I've used this analogy in the past, when you consider that the first expansion chamber, the blast chamber of a silencer, is like the wing of an aircraft in importance of holistic design for the system, you need to know the more advanced the silencer, the more important what happens in that first expansion chamber is. And all you tribal knowledge, like, you know, old wives' tale using folks that are like, oh yeah, it's because of this. No, dude. If you change these mounts, they're going to be different. Just don't play with fire if you don't have to. There's no reason. There is absolutely no reason for you as a consumer to deviate from something in a design other than you think that you're getting sold something by someone who wants to sell you mounts. I'm just saying it. Okay? Sometimes different is not better. Sometimes it is. Like for example, I'm using an analogy like Cherry Bomb versus like a Reardon whatever. Reardon reverse engineered. They copied the Q taper. You know what? Reardon made a better product a lot of the times because it had rear wrench flats and like it wasn't the Cherry Bomb restrictive flow and da-da-da-da-da. So actually that helped. So sometimes when people go from the actual genuine Q mount to a Reardon mount, they get performance that's actually enhanced. What I'm telling you is that is not always the case. First of all, it's not always the case with Q and Reardon, and it's definitely not the case with the Nano and whatever else they're making, whoever else is making Nano type things. I am telling you, the blast dynamics matters. And if you could change the first baffle of the silencer, would you change that? Then why would you think you would change the mount? You understand me? Okay. I'm just being, I want to help you. It's like, here's what I don't want. What I don't want is someone shoots these silencers and they're like, oh, the suppression rating is not accurate. It's like, the hell it's not. Did you change the system? Oh, okay. Well, then don't say the suppression rating is accurate. You're not accurate. Your system's not accurate to us. Excuse me. You see the difference? You see what I'm saying? I don't want to hear this complaining. We give you information and then you change it and then you complain to us. Don't complain to me. All right. Now, speaking of suppression rating, what you're seeing in this report is a Mark 18 test. Okay. If you own a CACM rifle, you're going to have higher performance. Well, good job. Good for you. For the rest of you, normal people that don't have Ferraris, if you somehow get your hands on a CACM silencer without the rifle, or if you're a CACM owner who wants to use the silencer on multiple guns with short barrels that are that's shorter than the 12-inch CACM, which, I mean, I would do. Dude, if I bought a really expensive rifle and silencer, I would totally use that silencer on another gun. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, if you want to, if you have other 5.56 guns and you want to suppress them, and you don't have another 5.56, of course you're going to do that. You're going to buy another Nano. Like, why wouldn't you? What I'm saying is, don't have any fear, because what you're seeing in the report is valid on the shorter barrels because we give it to you on the Mark 18, and I'm gonna tell you it's quieter on the longer barrel. So you're good, dude. You're set. Okay, cool. Now, for whenever Apparition Instruments, distributes their 5cm or whatever, this data is I would say I'm 99% sure. I'm 98% sure. if I could assign a confidence level, I'm 98% sure that this data is going to be valid for the 5cm on a Mark 18-2. I'm to the point where if there is a difference, I'm not concerned with it for risk. From what I know. Now, I reserve the right to change that opinion if there's something that changes that I don't know. You got me? Cool. Fourth thing, regarding performance of this CACM silencer and the upcoming 5cm, it's not normal. Again, I don't want to give a spoiler before this is published. I know people listen to this podcast when it auto launches at nighttime before the reports get published. I know some people listen to this, so I don't want to give you information that's going to like freak you out, like right when you can't read the report. But just to let you know about some overall craziness here, this Mark 18 data is not normal, dude. It's weird. And it's not like this silencer's big, which is the really crazy part. It's not like super large OD or long or anything. This is 1.6 inch diameter, 6-inch silencer, all in, no funny business, no super long mount, and it's crushing, bro. And if you're an FRP reduction enthusiast, like yours truly, if you're into reducing extra combustion into a vessel with air present, to be a super nerd right now, if you're into not having first round pop, buckle up. Just not normal. And I am not using hyperbole right now. I am being very calm and maybe not calm because I'm hyped up because I'm on a little bit of pre-workout, but I'm trying to be very calm, and I'm just telling you it's not normal. I'm not trying to hype anything. I'm just telling you this is doing great stuff. And if you're into physics like me, you're going to be excited about physics because the whole point of PEW Science is to figure stuff out, and we're figuring new stuff out, and it's awesome. Fifth thing, to illustrate a big picture industry technology advancement vector, which is what I'm calling this, big picture, I decided to do something. I decided to add something up front in the report, and we've started doing this on a few things. You've seen this on a couple of reports. You've seen it on some AK stuff. You've seen it on some Otter Creek Labs Infinity stuff. I think the deeper we get in the pedigree, the more value we can add by giving some upfront big conclusions to really help drive home points to folks that don't read the whole thing, and that's okay. I added something up front in this report in the beginning. The Mark 18 data set's really big. Sometimes bite-sized chunks are good. Make a point. I took 2 tests from the 16-test Knights Armament PRT study. And then I took 2 tests from a recent CAT surge bypass studies, and I put them on a chart. Okay, this is just data. You're looking at it differently. I took the MCQ PRT and the KK, and then I took the CRS PRT and the CACM. All in the same gun. Apples to apples to apples to apples. So you got 2 true K-cans, actually short 4.5 inch class range, 4.5 inch range length silencers, actually K-cans, not make believe. I want to market. I'm a new company. I have a K-can that's 7 inches long. Okay, let's all come to Jesus and sing Kumbaya. Actually short 4.5 inch range silencers. And then 2 normal sized cans, 6-inch silencers, not 7 or 8 or 9 inch 5-inch silencers, 6-inch silencers. Sorry, 2 4.5 inch cans, 2 6-inch cans. Got it? Okay. Okay. In that chart, you get to see PRT, that's Knights Armament Engineered Pressure Reduction Technology versus CAT Surge Bypass. Okay. The reason that chart is there is to show you that technology matters, even from 2 companies that are both companies, even from 2 companies that both are doing blast physics engineering in the damn silencers. Both. KK and CACM are both advanced surge bypass silencers optimized for the nano. MCQ and CRS are PRT silencers optimized for 3 prongs. Even though the MCQ performs better with the MAMs, but you can imagine why that is. All 4 of them are cool silencers. 2 of them beat the pants off the other 2, to the degree that some might do a double take and be like, oh my God, stop, he's already dead. You understand? But that's life, dude. Like, that's not everyone gets a trophy. And that you're going to need, if you're new to PEW Science, you're going to have to learn that pretty quick. You get your feelings hurt. This is a really, really good, super short comparison case study because it directly compares two technologies in both sizes. And it's not some baffle design comparison or something. This is like, well, if we put a clip in there, and no. This is blast physics comparison of two technologies and how they scale or don't scale. Big picture, supported by, frankly, the Knights Armament study, completely internally funded. By the way, that Knights Armament article with 16 tests is probably the most expensive engineering study of silencers you'll ever see in your life, and it's free, and it was done with 100% public funding. From the general public. Okay? Just so you know what you have access to at pewscience.com. And there's like a crazy tool in there you can optimize. It's insane. Okay? So like PEW Science is not here to sell silencers. We're here to understand how they work. And if it's not clear now, it's never going to be. Okay? So I think that's what I'm going to end with today. To reiterate a point I made in the ZVUK talk about PIP and purposeful engineering and different levels of the game and technologies mattering to real performance. And to tie this all together with a bow, describing the old, the current, the new companies flooding the market with silencers. It just, I want you to understand all this. Today is a good day for silencer enthusiasts. It's a good day for the state of small arm suppression and 5.56 suppression specifically. I think these past 5 years have really highlighted tremendous progress in a lot of areas. I think you should read this report. I think you should look at the actual real data and the actual real risk metrics you can use as a human. I think you should sit back and think about what you're seeing and then realize that this is going to continue. This is not stopping. It's not getting worse. From these companies, right? There's this trajectory that's happening right now, and I don't care what people say, or I don't care what noise you hear on I don't care what picture or video or whatever is happening with people telling you. I don't care. What I'm telling you is there is a trajectory of technological advancement and known performance pedigree that we are quantifying with several companies. And that train is moving and has inertia, and I'm not going to let people put little tiny Hot Wheels cars on these tracks and like ignore the train. We're going to do everything in context like we always do. Everyone's going to be on the tracks, and we're all going to be watching. Okay? Any way you slice it, and it doesn't matter what your favorite brand is, I don't care. You now have to acknowledge that we're on a new timeline. Silencers are better. And you can't put the genies back in the bottles. Like, you can't go to someone back, early AAC days and, live in this time capsule and then be a clone or copying silencers from SIG and then telling yourself somehow you're at the precipice of gold when we're literally, it's like I get driving a classic car, dude, like a late 60s Mustang. I understand, dude. Like, I understand how cool that is and how fun it is. But, we also have airbags, now, and analog brakes and okay. So dude, love your air-cooled Porsche. Love your old muscle car. I mean, embrace it. I get it, dude. Believe me, I understand the nostalgia. I think it's cool. But don't say that you're going to beat the new ZR1 when the engineers are literally driving it. Okay? And you're not going to... Okay? You got me? Cool. Report goes live at 0700. Have fun, dude. Stay safe. Please don't fight too much, I guess. And we'll be... or do. I don't care what you do. And we'll be back next week to address all the technical questions and technical factors of concern, and there's going to be tons of them. It'll be good. So thank you for listening. Again, just remember, if you didn't hear the intro, if you can't see an episode on YouTube, it's because YouTube will pull it because they don't like science. So always use our RSS feed or Spotify or iTunes or whatever, and you'll never go astray because it's always on our website, pewscience.com/podcast. Okay, thanks for listening. Hope you had fun. I'll talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.